Imagine waking up one morning, scrolling through the news, and seeing a headline that stops you in your tracks. Prince William disowns Prince Harry. Just like that. The words feel heavier than they look on the page. Lighter than a newspaper, but heavier than a courtroom verdict. No context. No warning. Just the implication that a family bond, something that was supposed to be unbreakable, has suddenly been severed. Could you imagine that happening to your own brother? Your own family? That's exactly the moment Prince Harry found himself in, and the world is only just beginning to understand the ripple effect of this unprecedented move. But what led up to this, and why now? That's what we're going to uncover, piece by shocking piece. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. For decades, the relationship between William and Harry has been a story of contrast, of expectations and rebellion, of shared history shadowed by rivalry. From their earliest days, the brothers were inseparable on the surface. Playdates, royal tours, family holidays, and public appearances painted the picture of a close-knit duo. But behind the polished smiles, cracks were forming. A forgotten birthday, a harsh word in private correspondence, a meeting that ended in whispers and stares. To the outside world, it was mere sibling tension. But insiders say the underlying issues ran much deeper. The fractures weren't just personal, they were public, and now they're explosive. Think about it. Two princes, one throne, one family legacy, one public image meticulously curated for generations. And yet, for all the pageantry and pomp, family loyalty is proving to be more fragile than gold-plated crowns. William's announcement didn't just make news. It sent shockwaves through the palace, through media outlets around the world, and through the hearts of millions of fans who have followed the brothers' every move for decades. People are asking themselves, could this feud escalate to the point where reconciliation is impossible? Could this be the final blow in a battle that has simmered for years? The timing of William's move is as significant as the message itself. The announcement came at a moment when Harry's profile is higher than ever. When interviews, memoirs, and public appearances have painted him as the modern, relatable royal, the brother who chose a different path. Meanwhile, William's role as the heir apparent has never been clearer, and his patience, insiders say, has never run thinner. Publicly, William appears composed, measured, almost unshakable. Privately, sources describe a man frustrated, fed up, and determined to assert his position within a family that has often been messy, contradictory, and emotional. But the content of the announcement itself? That's where it gets truly shocking. According to insiders, it was not just a public declaration. It was a meticulously planned move that involved palace advisors, legal teams, and confidential communications with senior family members. Every word was weighed, every nuance considered. And yet, for Harry, it felt like a betrayal, like a door slammed in his face by someone who was supposed to be his brother, his ally, his family. Can you even imagine receiving that kind of message? Not as a distant relative, not as a colleague, but as someone who grew up with you, who shared your childhood, who knows your fears, your insecurities, your triumphs? The psychological and emotional weight of such a move is almost unimaginable. And then there's Meghan. Whatever you think of her, there's no denying her influence in this equation. She's been portrayed in countless ways by the media. The disruptor, the protector, the misunderstood partner. Behind closed doors, insiders say her reaction was just as explosive as Harry's, though in a different way. Protective, strategic, furious, calculating. Some say she immediately began to advise Harry on how to respond, how to maintain dignity, how to navigate the sudden media storm that William's announcement triggered. Others suggest her presence only intensified the tension, adding another layer of complexity to an already volatile situation. Now, here's something most people don't know. The announcement wasn't leaked. It wasn't accidentally revealed. It was orchestrated. Carefully. Purposefully. This was not a spur-of-the-moment decision. It was planned, timed, and executed to maximize impact. To send a message not just to Harry, but to the public, to the media, and to the royal institution itself. And that's what makes it so chilling. It wasn't personal, it was strategic. And the implications? Massive, long-lasting, potentially irreparable. Public reaction, as you might expect, has been explosive. Social media erupted within minutes. Headlines spiraled into hyperbole. Opinion pieces flooded online platforms. Some praised William for taking a stand. Others condemned him for cruelty. But the real story lies in the details that weren't in the headlines. The private messages, the behind-the-scenes meetings, the whispered warnings that no journalist has yet published. Because the palace, despite decades of media scrutiny, still holds secrets that are guarded fiercely, and when one finally slips, the world pays attention. The stakes for Harry have never been higher. Beyond the emotional toll, there are real consequences: titles, public roles, financial arrangements, and family dynamics that now hang in delicate balance. What William said could impact Harry's future, his children, and the way history will remember him. Every action from this point forward is under scrutiny. Every word, every appearance, every interview could either mend bridges or widen the divide. And in the middle of it all, Harry, standing in the eye of the storm, forced to make decisions that most of us could barely comprehend. Here's a twist that no one expected. Some insiders claim that even within William's camp, there's uncertainty. While the public perception is of a decisive, unwavering figure, privately, advisors worry about the long-term fallout. Could this move backfire? Could Harry's popularity surge, painting William as the aggressor? History, after all, has a strange way of favoring the underdog, and the royal family is no exception. Every calculated step carries risk, and for a family that has survived centuries of scrutiny, the timing, optics, and emotions of this moment are more volatile than any palace walls could contain. So why does this matter now? Why are we talking about it today? Because the announcement comes at a pivotal moment, when Harry is at the height of his influence, when royal events are drawing global attention, when public opinion is shaping a narrative that could define the monarchy for decades. The world is watching, and every glance, every whisper, every tweet adds fuel to the fire. In the coming months, decisions made in private rooms could dominate headlines, shape public opinion, and redefine what loyalty, family, and duty mean in the modern era. And just when you think you understand the full story, there's a leak. A private message surfaces. A note read by just a handful of people, now making its way into public consciousness. And the contents? Shocking. Devastating. The kind of revelation that makes you question everything you thought you knew about the family, about loyalty, and about power. But what came next would change everything, and no one saw it coming. Have you ever watched two people who were supposed to be inseparable slowly drift apart, and wondered how it even happened? That's exactly what's happening with William and Harry. On the surface, they're still brothers. They still share a family name, a childhood, a mother's memory. But underneath, the bond that once seemed unbreakable has been stretched, frayed, and strained to the point of snapping. And the truth is more complicated and more shocking than anything the tabloids have ever suggested. It didn't start with headlines or media speculation. It started with small things, almost invisible unless you knew where to look. A forgotten birthday, a missed phone call, a casual remark at a public event that carried the weight of years of tension. These moments, in isolation, might have seemed insignificant, but they were the first cracks. Insiders say the real turning point was a series of private disagreements that no one outside the palace walls saw. Decisions about royal duties, public appearances, even who would attend which charity events became symbolic battlegrounds. Every action, every choice, carried meaning. And in a family where appearances matter as much as tradition, meaning can turn into conflict faster than anyone expects. Think about it for a moment. Two brothers, raised in the same household, shaped by the same pressures, yet developing entirely different worldviews. William, the heir apparent, has always carried the weight of expectation. From his school years to his military service, every step has been scrutinized. Harry, on the other hand, has always been the rebel. Charming, impulsive, often misunderstood, but always passionate. And passion can be both a gift and a curse. It's what drew people to Harry, what made him relatable, what made him human. But it's also what sparked tension with William, who learned early on to measure every word, every gesture, every expression. Where William saw order, Harry saw constraint. Where Harry sought connection, William sought control. And when control meets rebellion, friction is inevitable. But friction alone doesn't explain the intensity of the fallout. There were moments that cut deeper than simple disagreements. Sources close to the family have described private arguments where words were said that could never be taken back. Letters, texts, and emails that hinted at frustration, resentment, and even envy. One palace insider said that Harry once remarked in private, almost bitterly, that he felt like he was living in William's shadow. And William, by all accounts, felt that Harry was undermining not just him, but the institution itself. These weren't petty squabbles. They were fundamental disagreements about identity, purpose, and loyalty. And then came the public moments. For years, the world has watched the brothers side by side, smiling for cameras, attending ceremonies, shaking hands with world leaders. But subtle signs of tension were always there. The half-smile that didn't reach the eyes. The body language that suggested unease. The brief glances exchanged when no one was looking. To the casual observer, it was nothing. To those who understand the family dynamics, it was everything. Every public event became a stage for private grievances. Every smile, every handshake, every nod carried the weight of unspoken words. Some of the turning points were almost laughably small if you weren't invested in the outcome. A disagreement over charity priorities. A comment about a speech. A debate about whether Harry's children should attend certain events. These tiny moments, when compounded over decades, created a chasm that now seems impossible to bridge. But these details only scratch the surface. Because what we're really talking about is trust, or the erosion of it. Brothers once willing to confide in each other, to protect each other from the pressures of public life, now find themselves questioning motives, words, and loyalty at every turn. And then there was the question of family legacy. William has long carried the mantle of responsibility, the pressure of expectation, and the weight of future kingship. Harry, for all his good intentions, has often been seen as a disruptor, someone who challenges traditions, pushes boundaries, and refuses to fit neatly into the mold. To William, that challenge has sometimes felt like a threat, not personal, but structural. If the monarchy is a living institution, then every act of rebellion is magnified, every divergence scrutinized. And for Harry, the very expectations that define William are constraints he cannot abide. The result? A tension that is both personal and institutional, intimate, yet unavoidably public. Yet even with all this, there were moments of reconciliation, or at least attempts at it. Reports suggest that after particularly intense arguments, the brothers would retreat, consider their positions, and try to repair what had been damaged. A quiet conversation over tea, a shared joke during a family holiday. But these moments were fleeting, fragile, like a bridge built over a river in flood, temporary at best. And every failed attempt, every misinterpreted gesture, every misread expression only added fuel to the fire. It's easy to say, they're brothers, they'll reconcile. But when history, expectations, and ego collide, reconciliation is never simple. One of the most dramatic turning points came during Harry's decision to step back from official royal duties. William, according to insiders, saw this as a betrayal, a refusal to accept shared responsibility. Harry, on the other hand, saw it as liberation, a necessary step to protect his mental health, his marriage, and his family. From that moment, the distance widened. The conversations became tense. The letters became formal. The interactions became less about brotherly connection and more about negotiation, strategy, and survival. Each public appearance, each interview, each statement was analyzed for subtext. Every word mattered, and every word had consequences. It wasn't just personal either. The media seized upon every minor incident, exaggerating, spinning, and amplifying them into narratives that framed the brothers as either heroes or villains, depending on the outlet. Social media became a battlefield, with supporters and critics alike taking sides. Some painted William as the steadfast heir, committed to duty above all. Others framed Harry as the relatable, humanized royal, struggling against the pressures of an outdated institution. But what most people didn't see were the private consequences. The sleepless nights, the whispered arguments, the advisors walking on eggshells, trying to keep a family together in the face of both public scrutiny and private resentment. And the irony? Despite the distance, the arguments, The public feuds, the brothers are still connected in ways that are impossible to sever. Shared memories, family history,